So I'm going to go through all the sun signs, and it's going to be an exploration through all the zodiac signs. And I'm going to do it in a fast and efficient manner, just to give you an idea how I think. And then I'm also interested to know which Mercury sign I have. So, the sun. The sun represents your core essence. It's who you are. Um, it's not only who you are, but like who you are really, really inside, and how that's actually being reflected in the outside. So some people might maybe go into the ascendant because it's also about the appearance, but like the sun sign, that's something that will never, 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 never really disappear. Um, the more you get older, the more you grow, and the more you mature. It's like something that will always connect you to your childhood. And that's actually very interesting. So even though you go maybe through these changes and experiences, might be something traumatic or even something positive, the sun really represents that side of you, that piece of you that will always remain there, whatever happens to you. So let's start with the sun signs. So the signs of the sun. So we have Aries. Aries people are direct. They don't think before they speak. Um, can be very stubborn. Head on first. Um, often act like from impulse and instinct. Brave, courageous. Um, have the potential to be athletic. Usually good runners. Then we have Taurus. Taurus people are also stubborn. Um, usually all about safety and security. Um, they crave this stability, and if someone takes that away, they're not going to be very happy. Taurians, they really like routine. They like um, good food, usually have good taste. Um, nice clothes. Um, everything has to be like with nice materials, has to feel nice, connected to the senses. Um, usually a good aesthetic. Um, yeah, sense of judgment can be materialistic. They are drawn to the material world. It's Taurus, it's the body, it's the bull. They're grounded, practical people, very practical people. Um, I would say if you have a maths teacher and who's a Taurus, that's someone who's just going to really help you to put all the ideas, yes, abstract ideas into, embodiment. So I would say the best math teacher you will find will be actually Taurus. And all about the body, like connecting to nature as well, connecting to the different faces. Um, love to be around the woods. Um, and yeah, their five senses are really well developed. Then we have Gemini, usually very chatty. There's a lot of mental going on there. Tend to talk fast or have like fast movements. Can be restless. Their temper can be very interesting, can change. And Geminis are also one of those um, star signs that usually do well at school or whose talent are being discovered at a very young age. Look at Natalie Portman um, or Tom Holland. Both of them were children stars. Um, yeah, the intellect. And also it's very important for Geminis, they have to read or do something intellectual, otherwise it's not working. I've encountered Geminis, and any Gemini I haven't who doesn't learn new things, they really, really have to stimulate their brain and mental faculties. Can very curious, can be actually a little bit superficial. Um, because they often pick what they see and they don't always go as deep. But if they're really interested with the topic, they're able to go deep. But again, there's restlessness and to switch too many topics and do too many things at the same time or at once. So these are people they recording a video and then the washing machine is still running. Then we have Cancerians, the mothers of the zodiac, very motherly, very caring, super sensitive, emotional, protective, can get easily hurt, can take things very personally, um, has to learn that it's not always their responsibility, um, to look after people, always connect with like the mother of their friends. There's always like the mother relationship. Also, the mother will always have like a huge influence in their life. It's like an influence, like has a huge impact. Yeah, it rules the breast. Um, and also the digestive issues. Can be a bit sensitive around tummy. Is often encouraged to eat dairy, but I don't think it would be good for anyone because I abstain from cow's milk because yeah, it's not good so for my tummy. Kids have amazing memory, great emotional memory. So these are the people who also are good at reminding of who you really are, and because they know you, especially from childhood, and if you're off track, they can remind you and get you back to that core. Um, Always have this wonderful connection with childhood, um, good with children. Very, there are many kids there who do well, kindergarten teachers, or even being a children's writer, is a good job for them. And even if they're doing like something very, very corporate, they're always being considered as something very motherly and caring and nurturing. Not all, but most Cancerians, women, they have this desire to give birth and to be the mother. So even if they don't become mothers, it's very important for them to give birth to a project and or to look after something, look after a team. Then we have Leos. Usually also good with children. They like to look after the smaller ones, guide them. Warm, usually warm people can tend to narcissism if they're not being careful. There's something proud about them, like you should never, never kill their pride or ego. They will never forgive you. Consider the Leonine girls, women tend to be the ones who will never leave the house without makeup and fashion styling. Um, they will always um, do something to their appearance. Um, have sometimes this tendency to be a bit full of themselves and they don't realize that they're also making mistakes. So very, very advisable to um yeah, they can be idealistic, but they're very, very like often like the party, they shine at a party. Amazing hair, usually all amazing hair, even when they get older, or there's something nice about them. And they have like an emotional attachment to their hair. Um, they usually stand out as well. Like when they leave the place at their home, um, people look at them, get attention. Uh, Leos are considered as very humorous, funny. They like to make people laugh, smile, can lean into extravagance, and I've noticed that many Leonine parents are also very protective about their kids. Like to tell them which is the best parent as well, tendency. Also, artistically and musically gifted. Very important for all Leo children is to develop their gifts. Like it might be music, art, fashion. That's how they thrive. And that's why you find so many musicians or even fashion designers who are Leos. Also, leaders like to be the boss, so it's also good for them to have some kind of leadership role. They're just born with these kind of gifts. Then we have Virgos. Virgos, there's a lot of mental going on, a bit different than Geminis. They're more prone to anxiety, and these are people who actually think a lot, um, lean towards perfectionism, can be judgmental towards themselves and towards others, also critical. And Leos also, as our Virgos, they're they tend to be usually shy creatures, but it takes them a little bit longer to open up in relationships, can be selective. Um, However, some of them can have like a little eccentric or punk streak. So you will find, yes, I would double check. Not every um, Virgo you see who's very tidy and like that, they'll all have some kind of kinky, punky side within them. They like to learn, they like to analyze, they like to observe. Um, and again, yes, other than quick to judge for some reason. So that's where they maybe have to be careful. That sometimes can be direct, but it's always there to help people. So that's their role. They want to help people. And what's also interesting, there's always something about Virgos that makes them, uh, well, not look like a virgin, but what I mean, like, look less experienced. It's always something that will never lose. As they grow old, there will always be something where they will act like as if they're still a teenager. uh, or a child, although they're like maybe a master in a area. Intellectual creatures as well. Yes, very important for them to learn, to progress, and learn from their mistakes. Also, and I think it's also helpful for them if they have teachers who are patient, but also recognize their abilities from a very young age. Um, Good teachers. Um, Good at like showing people how things work, good at helping people, usually good doctors as well. Um, Also really good coordinators because Virgos are really good at organizing tasks and bring it back in order. And also I think there's also this kind of caring role about them. They want to look after something or someone and turn it into perfection or into something like better quality. So quality is very important for them. Then we have Libra. Libra, it's all about harmony, finding your place in the world. They like the scales, they're always evaluating, and it drives them sometimes crazy. So sometimes when they say things, doesn't come from their side, but more like what other people want to hear. So they have to learn that um, they might have to disappoint people if they speak their truth or what they really think. It can make them a little bit slow. Well, not slow. What I mean, it's like the judgment, um, because they're always taking time to evaluate and they don't want to offend, and because they try always to be diplomatic. So like in comparison to Gemini and Aquarius, I would say Libras are like maybe not as quick with it, but obviously other places count as well. Um, so Libras also maybe can get lost in their vices and the beautiful way of life, la dolce vita, the nicer things, craves maybe too much harmony, um, and so they might have to learn to be more assertive. Libras also, they, I feel that they're really good at art, fashion design, or interior design. Um, and because they crave harmony so much, these are, I would say, the ones with whom you will not have so much of an argument. They're like all about peace and finding balance and taking things a bit slower and in a more beautiful way. Um, yeah, so that's Libra. Then we have, after Libra, we have Scorpio. Scorpios can be actually very direct. They like to be mysterious and they have their secrets. They're always hiding something, even from their family and their best friends and from their partners and lovers. Scorpios, protective as well. Um, if they focus on a topic, they can concentrate for hours. They can get lost in work. Um, like Capricorns, they tend to be workaholics, and they also like to get to the nitty-gritty of things. They don't like superficial stuff. They like to get to the core, the reasons. So that makes them good detectives, good psychologists, psychoanalysts, creative therapies. As, for example, as a teacher, that would be someone who's very, who helps students maybe to access their unconscious and, you know, maybe discover parts or traits of their students that the students couldn't see within themselves. So that's a good trait. They tend to be jealous and they can also be too private, slow to open up. Oh, if you hurt them, it can take years for them to forgive. So they can hold grudges. Scorpio people, like when they're angry and you did something wrong, they have this desire to destroy you. So they can be self-destructive and also destructive towards others. Um, Also, Scorpio people, it's very important for them to get grounded, and it's the opposite of Taurus. So, to get connected to their bodies. And yes, it is one of the signs that's also connected to sexuality and erotic desires. So, it's also the sign of the occult. So they're probably interested in spiritual, occult, taboo themes. Like these are the signs. These are like the teenagers who really, really gonna like probably be interested into uh like a sect that used to exist in Luxembourg but doesn't exist anymore. And then find out why maybe people have stopped going there, and so they can have like these kind of bit of unconventional topics. They tend also to be more mature than most of their classmates as well. Um, they feel lonely. These are like a bit very lonely wolves. But that's probably because they love their solitude so much, that they forget that it's also important, to connect with people, that you're human. You're not just only there you know, to do your research and get obsessed with your topic, that you forget too much. So very important for Scorpius to have some kind of lightheartedness in their life. Then we have Sagittarius, the explorers, sense of humor, loves adventure. Most Sagittarians I have cannot do it without a car. They're always on the go. They like taking the plane, um, taking ship and explore. Restless as well. My have to is to get to the point of things. Their intelligence is like, it's not so intellectual. if you, well, other places can as well, but it goes more into like more the philosophical, spiritual dimension. I have a lot of wisdom, a lot to share. Um, a balanced Sagittarian is someone who realizes that escaping into their beloved hobbies is not always an answer. And so they have to keep a little bit of yeah, realism because there's a sense to exaggerate and live in excess. So they have to be really careful that they yeah, don't lose themselves in certain pleasures of life because it feels so good, because it keeps them alive. Yes, the philosophical nature should not be neglected, and very important, they always have to remain curious and optimistic. Can have interesting tempers, Sagittarians. Um, and also like, yeah, when it comes to Sagittarians, I feel that there are people who are like more louder and quieter, and they all just love exploring what goes beyond the mundane. And that's important for Sagittarian to not get lost into mundane, to really go beyond, to transcend a little bit when it comes to their interests. Then we have our beloved Capricorn. Um, so Capricorns, I would say they're the workaholics. They work hard, they strive hard, and when they're not working hard, they might maybe retire early. Very common for them that they rise very early and then around their 30s, 40s, they're done in and have to retire. Uh, Capricorns, you see them a little bit the way they walk, especially men. They don't stand straight. Yeah, they have something around their ears. You just look at Capricorn actors and you know what I mean. Can be super athletic. I know many Capricorns who are super athletic. Just have to be careful with their bones and because they have a tendency, because it's linked to the bones and wrists and limbs. Um, Capricorns, yes, they work hard, very productive, like to bring good quality, and they like traditions. They love stuff that lasts very long. Academically, very strong, very inclined. It's important for them to also engage in other areas that happen, that are happening outside work or, career. Capricorns are more likely to, yeah, go to the top, unless they retire early. And I've noticed, people always associate with other, but they tend to have a good sense of humor. But it's like really like sarcasm and dry. And I think alongside Virgos, I would say Capricorn people are, especially the men, are like the best dressed. I mean, when it comes to an event, it's usually um, a Capricorn and a Virgo man who are going to show up in a suit. So that's usually how you recognize them. Like, even if it's like a not such a formal event, you go to a chapel, it's usually a Virgo and a Capricorn who are going to show up in a formal attire. A very serious outlook on life, despite their humorous demeanor that some show off. Very serious, might maybe have come from a more rigid family place, and actually very sensitive to the core, despite their ambitions. Then we have Aquarius. Aquarius are the eccentrics, unconventional, the mad scientist, uh, have a tendency to be more gender fluid, open towards exploring, other sexualities, other identities. Usually good at school, very good at school academically, very scientifically inclined. It's just their mind is just made for it. Um, and so I know people like who are Aquarius, they did really, really well at school. And although they were probably dancing in their free time, they did a lot of maths and physics at school, and they did well, despite not having maybe geeky hobbies in their um, free time. I also feel like Aquarians, they're very open-minded. They're all about humanitarian affairs, progress, uh, always ahead of the curve. Mm. The ideas is always they're always different, but they embrace it more. It's more it's I would say like these are the ones that really, if they feel different, they don't mind. They also don't mind like being maybe the outsider. They just can embrace it. I think it has something to do with being an Aquarian, that when you're born you always feel different, and that's part of life and you accept it more. Have to learn to also get more into your body and into your emotions, because you tend to also be more the intellectual there. Um, um, so mhm. Tends to maybe to overthink, and maybe to be also at certain places at the same time, and be careful with your levels of sleep. Hmm. And then we have finally Pisces. Pisces are super sensitive, emotional, the empaths of the zodiac, definitely. Um, they love music, they love the arts, as they're very, there's something gentle about them, their nature. They're not very forceful. Um, and they they can get overwhelmed very quickly. Very important for them to ground and do activities. Sleep is, I mean, for any zodiac, but they have to be really careful with their sleep patterns. And also not to have develop escapist tendencies, which often of them do, and maybe tackle what's like not comfortable. So they struggle a little bit when things are getting too overwhelming and uncomfortable. It's like I think Cancerians, they feel the emotions. They're like, oh, this is not working. But with Pisceans, there's this tendency to brush it a bit away and escape into something else, which is fair enough. But like they have to learn that, like, that's part of life. I cannot just always escape. I have to combine both. Also, Pisceans, they they have very interesting abilities. They have this ability to and touch you very deeply. And wow, their sensitivity, the way they can connect with the world of arts, that's not something you can see in all the other zodiac signs. That's very powerful for them. Like they can really, really also feel like, so for them, they would be actually good therapists as well, and artists. And maybe when it comes to other jobs, find a job where that really, really suits their sensitive nature, so it's not so that they will, suffer from burnout. So these are all the zodiac signs. Took me longer to go all of them, but it gives you maybe an idea what they're like, and maybe you can identify or not identify. Please let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the other video. Bye bye.